Pretty much everybody loves pizza. Now, depending on what you want on your pizza, the type of pizza you want, the variations are almost endless. Now, today I want to show you how to make a simple plant-based pizza, literally using only 4 main ingredients. Now, I just don't want to do just one. I'm actually going to make 4 different variations. They're going to all be very simple, basic pizzas and the very limited toppings. The toppings are going to be whatever you choose, whatever you have in your fridge, whatever you want to put on them. Can I make 4 different pizzas using 4 ingredients? Now, out of the 4 ingredients that I'm talking about, we are talking about flour. Flour is gonna be the main ingredient for the dough, and literally we can make a dough using only flour and water, a 2-ingredient dough. Now, water, I'm not counting in one of my 4 ingredients because I'm assuming that most of you have it. I'm also gonna assume that you have seasonings and things like that. You can season things however you want. Now, besides flour, the second ingredient that you're gonna need to make pretty much any pizza is gonna be a can of tomatoes. Now, you can find San Marzano tomatoes at just about any grocery store. These are some DOP San Marzano tomatoes, are gonna work really well to make a pretty good pizza sauce. Now, since we're making a plant-based pizza, I'm gonna be changing the cheese up a little bit, but we're gonna be using cashews. Now, I have some cashews left over from my milk video that I just did. If you haven't seen that, check that out. But we're gonna be doing a few different variations of cashew topping for a pizza. I know it sounds a little odd if you're not used to it, but man, it can be really, really good. And then lastly is a little bit of olive oil. Now let's get moving. I'm excited about this one. Now, the pizza dough that we're gonna be creating today is literally gonna only have 2 ingredients. That is flour and water. Essentially, what we're gonna be making is a sourdough pizza. So I have a starter here that I've been working on for about a week. If you don't know how to make a sourdough starter, head over to Mike from Pro Home Cooks. He has a bunch of different tutorials on how to make sourdough. The starter is gonna be the same, and you're gonna be able to use that in a bunch of your recipes. Now, a sourdough starter is literally just flour and water, and then it is just over a course of a few days, it's fed, and it takes in natural yeast from the air. We're gonna use about 80 grams of the sourdough starter, and I'm gonna mix in 3 cups, about 650 grams of water. And this is like a warm water. And then at this point, I'm just gonna take my 1,000-gram bag of pizza flour. Now, this is a specific flour and bread type of dough. You could use a 00, or you can use a combination of all-purpose and bread flour. That's gonna work really well. That's 60-something, 65% hydration. I'm just gonna mix this in, and what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go about a cup at a time, and I'm just using a spatula because eventually we'll be able to kind of mix it through, but it's gonna be a little clumpy at first, and that's okay. Eventually this mixture starts to kind of thicken up, and then once you're on about the second half of it, you start to see that this is gonna turn into a dough ball. This should be enough to make about 6-7 pizzas. And now at this point, we're on the last bit of flour. I'm gonna add this all in, get my hands nice and floury, and then kind of start working this in by hand. Now, once you've kneaded the dough ball to where it's pulling away from the sides, we're just gonna go ahead and cover it, and you can leave this covered sitting out overnight. That's gonna get you a nice, like almost like fermented, even more sour. I'm not looking for the whole sour kind of taste, so we're just gonna let this set aside for a few hours. While we're waiting for the dough to rise, we're gonna make some sauce and a few toppings. I'm just gonna take the 1 can of San Marzano tomatoes and toss it in a blender. Now, I'm gonna add about a tablespoon of olive oil. Now, if that's all you got and you're on a limited budget, or you're just on a limited, you can't find a lot of ingredients, you could stop there, blend this up, you're gonna have a tomato sauce. I'm gonna throw in a few basil leaves. Just gonna sprinkle in about a teaspoon of salt for this whole thing. And then this depends on how chunky you like your tomatoes. I like my tomato sauce very saucy, very blended, so I'm just gonna crank this guy up. There we go. That is our tomato sauce, and it is beautiful. Perfect. Now, if you're vegan or dairy-free or lactose intolerant, you already know the struggle of having a pizza. So what I've done was I threw about a cup of cashews, raw cashews, into the freezer and let them freeze for at least 4 hours. I'm gonna throw these guys into the blender. Now, if you only have cashews and no seasoning, fine, just blend these up, you're good to go. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a little bit to them. So I'm gonna dump about a tablespoon of nutritional yeast in, along with about a half a teaspoon of garlic powder and just a pinch of salt. Now, if you have a really high power blender, be careful with this next step because you can end up making cashew butter. We wanna blast these up. So I'm gonna put it on a pulse, tap this into a Parmesan cheese powder. Now, at this point, we should have a very fine, something that resembles very closely to a Parmesan cheese. And I'll tell you, even the texture of it does. Now, for the next topping, it's gonna be more of like a cheese replacement. Again, I'm gonna go with the cashews again, and we're gonna create almost like a thick cream. Now, for this one, again, we're gonna be using 1 cup of cashews, not frozen, just right out of the package. We're gonna drop in about 1 tablespoon of olive oil. And now at this point, I want you to kind of raid your pantry and come up with the flavor that you think you're gonna really enjoy on your pizza. I'm gonna do some garlic, some onion powder, some smoked paprika. So I'm just gonna have some water available on the side, and we're gonna put the top on, open up the lid here, and then just get this started on like a slow, and then just add about a half of a tablespoon of water at a time until you get the consistency you want. Oh, that's perfect. That is perfect. Now I ended up just adding the rest of the cashews that I had, about another half of a cup of cashews. I ended up doing about 3/4 cup of water, and I'll say this is gonna be an awesome topping. Honestly, kind of almost like an Alfredo sauce. Very, very rich. Okay, so our dough ball has rested for a few hours. So at this point, I'm just gonna use some all-purpose flour. I'm gonna spread it out right on my countertop here. And we are going to kind of punch this guy out. And now we're gonna weigh it out into individual dough balls. These are gonna be our individual pizzas. So I have a Rockbox pizza oven. That's gonna work best with about a 10 to an 11-inch pizza. So I'm gonna do about a 250-gram dough ball. Pull the sides down and over. All I'm gonna do is I have a bread pan. I'm just gonna put some olive oil in it. This is just gonna allow it to not stick. And these guys are gonna double in size, so I'm only gonna put 2 balls in each pan. Now these are gonna be ready to be formed right into a pizza pretty quick. I would say in about an hour and a half to 2 hours. We're just gonna let them kind of rise up, get back to almost double in size. Okay, these guys have proofed for about 2 hours. You could see how big they are. They have definitely filled up that bread pan. Now I have my Ghazni Rockbox here. This is a tank of a pizza oven. I wanna thank Ghazni for sending me this thing, probably the best thing that I've ever cooked in. If you wanna get your own Rockbox, click the link in the description below. That is an affiliate link, so I will be making a little bit of money off of that. So if you were to make these at home without a Rockbox, you would just throw them in your oven, cook them like how you would normally cook a pizza. About as hot as your oven's gonna get, and you're gonna cook it for about 10 minutes. And the last few minutes you throw on the broiler and get the top nice and crispy. When you're making a pizza in your home oven, you just have to essentially watch it. Same thing that we're gonna be doing here in the Rockbox is we're just gonna be paying attention to it. That being said, let's make some pizzas. So I'm gonna dust my work surface with some flour, and really what we're gonna do is just take this dough that's been resting and stretch it into a pizza shape. Now I'm not a pro at this by any means, but really, your home pizzas don't need to look fantastic, they just need to taste fantastic. So this first one we're gonna do really simple. We're just gonna do some tomato sauce, and then I'm gonna use my cashew Parmesan cheese that I made here. And then I'm just gonna throw some fresh basil on them. Now, if you don't have fresh basil, don't worry about it. Throw on whatever you want. And then we're just going to quickly throw this guy in the oven. This one was destroyed. This pizza is not gonna be the prettiest pizza, I'm telling you right now. It's stuck to my peel, but you know, practice is gonna make perfect. This is still gonna be awesome, but this is our first pizza. Let's move on to the next one. I'm gonna try to get this one to not mess up and to give us a nice pizza shape. Now this one, we're gonna do our cream sauce. And again, just because I really love it, I'm gonna top with some basil. Honestly, even a little bit more of this cashew Parmesan, because that really came out pretty good. I'm pretty excited about the way that came out on that other pizza there. So we got 2 more pizzas to make, so my table's pretty hot, and I'm wondering if that's also kind of contributing to what's happening here. So this one's gonna be really simple. It's gonna just be an olive oil base, some of the cashew Parmesan, again with cashew cream. That cashew cream comes out really good. And then this last one I'm just gonna do pretty similarly. I'm just gonna do some tomato sauce, but this one I'm just gonna do some heavier cream. Now, I mean, and that is it. Look at that. Now, even though they didn't come out the prettiest, that's my own fault. That's up to you how you make your pizzas, if they come out round or not. But man, do they taste good. That sourdough crust is out of this world. Literally just, you know, 1 ingredient, flour, water. You can add some salt. Crazy good. Look at the crust on that. Wonderful. Oh, wow. That is good. All of these made with 3 ingredients. Let me know if you want to see more videos like this one here, but if you haven't yet, please make sure you click the subscribe button and click this video right here. Baby, you gotta try this one.